I just want to come on here and be vulnerable for a second. And I just had like a half-hour crying session by myself, as you could probably tell. But I want to come on here and talk about how incredibly difficult it is for me to cry. I mean, my shoulders tense up, my face hurts, and um, as I know when I know the tears are coming, it's like my entire face freezes and my chest hurts. It's almost like if I'm fighting with every fiber of my body to not let myself cry. And I think that this is what happens when you grow up in a household where you're not allowed to cry. And I grew up in a very traditional Mexican household, and I love my parents, and I know this was a very long time ago, but they were very uncomfortable showing emotions and allowing us, their children, to show and process emotions. And this is more common than many of us may think. Whenever any of us showed any signs or hints of anger, right? Anger, sadness, we would get the whole, you want to cry? I'll give you a real reason to cry because you have no reason to cry. I was beat with a belt, with a chancla, um, you name it. And so now I I think that part of the reason why I'm so messed up is because I have all of these unprocessed emotions kind of trapped inside of me. But it's not like I have a lot of time to process them, right? I work full time. I am a mom to a 10-year-old boy. I'm completing my master's program. And not to mention that I still live with my parents, and they're still very uncomfortable with emotions being processed. Obviously, they're not going to beat me anymore, but man, I live with my parents and my sister and my brother-in-law and a whole lot of people, and so it's really hard to just find some time to myself where I can just lay there and cry. Um, and lately, I've been feeling really down. Sometimes I get these random depressive episodes, and a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I haven't been taking my medication the way I'm supposed to. I haven't been taking it consistently. My sleep schedule has been messed up. I've been going to sleep past through in 2 in the morning and then only getting about 4 hours of sleep. So there's all these kind of factors, right? But I actually feel better now that I laid there and cried for 30 minutes. I don't know if I'm done crying, so please excuse me if I just let the waterworks out while I'm recording this video. But I just laid there and I looked up sad instrumental song on YouTube and I listened to it and I just let myself cry. And it was so physically painful. Um, it's unbelievable. Like, I I hadn't realized how difficult it really was for me to cry and how difficult it is for me to show any type of negative emotion. And I think that it was very much a survival mechanism, right? A way for me, younger me, to cope and maybe not be beat with a chancla if I could just keep it inside and not cry. Um, and it was so ironic because the more that we cried, the more that we got reprimanded or beat. Um, and then I remember, I mean, and then as I was laying there crying, I just had all these random flashbacks. It's like my life was just flashing before my eyes throughout different points of my life when I had a flashback from back in middle school when I was walking home and the school bus was taking off and we had this And then this kid named Steven just looked out the door, pointed at me, and yelled, "Cripple," right? Because I have cerebral palsy. So I was bullied a lot when I was growing up, and then I would have flashbacks to one time I came home and I told my mom that I was being bullied and she didn't know how to deal with this, so she just told me, just ignore them. And that was the extent of processing any type of negative emotion or anything that I was going through. Because my parents, they were immigrants, right? And so they were struggling just to get by and make ends meet. Both of my parents were working their butts off just to ensure that we had a roof over our heads and some food. Not to justify a lot of what they did, but just to acknowledge that they have their own struggles. And I think that so many of my problems just stem from not being able to process my emotions when I was younger, and now they're all trapped inside me and they're making me anxious and depressed and miserable. Um, but please let your kids cry. Uh, don't make emotions taboo in your household. Um, accept every type of emotion. Don't think of emotions as negative or positive, right? They just are. That's the way that I try to be with my son. He's 10 now, and he has a difficult time crying too. And it's hard because his dad and I are separated. We've been separated for years now, but we try to co-parent. But we have very different ideas sometimes on how to best co-parent. And his dad was a Marine, and he's very much, you know, kind of suck it up and take it like a man and don't show emotions in front of others. And he spends weekends with his dad, and when he's with me, I'm kind of the opposite. I just try to tell him, if you need to cry, it's okay. Whatever emotion you're feeling, it's okay to feel that. And poor kid, he's getting conflicting information, but I'm doing the best I could do at this point to try to raise a child who is emotionally intelligent, because that's something that I never got growing up. Um, and I hope that it's enough. So that I hope that it's enough so that he doesn't have to deal with this when he's older. Because man, is it painful, and does it hold you back? Like, I have so many mental blocks. I'm 34 and I'm still living with my parents, and I can't drive, and sometimes I feel like anxiety and depression is just taking over my life. But I think that just by acknowledging this, I'm on the road to healing. At least I hope. But yeah, processing emotions when you were never allowed to before, and learning to kind of just process and let it be is very painful and difficult. So yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that for a little bit. Thanks for listening.